Hi, I am Don.
And I am Bo.
And last time we talked about Xenogears. Well, actually, somebody else probably came in here and talked about something else without us.
That could be it. We don't know that Xenogears
I
was
don't
last
know.
time.
Look, I don't know our release schedule. I don't. It's not my job. My job's to talk about Xenogears, and we're not doing a very good job of it. Because we met. Okay, we got the brass. Okay, we got like the general outline. They go to Ave. Things go bad. Well, did you know that happens twice? We didn't.
Or we did. We just didn't remember.
Yeah, a lot happens in this game, not in chronological order, not with any spatial.
And by
awareness.
we, I mean Don has done extensive research
Yes,
to make sure that what happened last week does not happen again. Because you deserve the best. Adam, is that dangling wire going to be a problem?
And a lot of people just
Okay.
a lot of people just do not have the time to play Xenogears anymore. Myself among them.
Oh, it is a horrifically long game.
It is
rewarding.
It's very fun. Very. It's memorable.
But it was
It just doesn't incite, well, not perfect memory, but it's memorable.
Right.
You remember different things.
right. Obviously not.
I remember
perfect
the
memory.
land crab. I did not remember that the land crab was Ave attempt number 2.
Right.
So let's just clear that up. The first time when you go to rescue Margie, apparently you just leave without issue. You go to
You do
Nissan.
see Ellie though. I do remember that.
Yeah, you
do see Ellie.
You were correct.
Yeah.
Ellie helps you escape by hiding in a room while the guards do Scooby-Doo things. Then you go to Nissan, which is an independent religious center for land dwellers of different sect from the ethos.
So it is a church of ethos.
It is a church. It's not a church of ethos. It's a separate sect.
Okay.
I have determined this for future events.
Okay.
But it is separate, not necessarily equal. Land dwellers seem to like it more. Anyway, Margie, the cousin or vague relation of Bart, is
Right. Most likely flat out sister in Japan.
Possibly.
Most likely.
most likely. Yeah, certain. She is the head of this religion for some reason. Probably hereditary.
Hereditary, yeah,
That
because she's
seems-
like 16
That
canonically
seems
or
to be
something.
a thing.
Yeah.
She's very young, 16.
Um,
Anyway, you go to Nissan, and then you formulate another plan. Okay, so you know how, Bart, you started these sand pirates. It's a cool thing. You did it so you can recapture Ave, your ancestral kingdom, from this asshole Shaken, who was the prime minister, and he's in league with the Solaris assholes. So we're gonna.
it is Solaris. We've
It
determined
is
that.
Solaris.
Okay.
Yes. He is getting help from them. Solaris is very dismissive of Shaken. Like, we don't really care if it's you in charge or Bart, as long as you just do what you're told.
Right.
And he's like, I got these guys wrapped around my finger. Yeah, that's yeah, sure you do, Shaken.
Right.
But anyway, the second time, you do have a pretty elaborate plan, which is why we completely fumbled on it. Bart is going to re-infiltrate Alve.
And this is immediately after going to Nissan.
Yeah, Nissan. Okay, so we're going to go back in there. We're going to plan ahead first time. Faye, you're going to create a diversion along the border because you're good at wrecking shit. Let's just...
And Faye, this is another time where his "I don't want to fight" kicks in. I do remember that.
But Seitan says, hey, well, this is probably for the greater good. Come on. And Faye's like, well, these are my friends. I don't have too many of those. Most of them died
Because of me.
And the people who aren't. We've just gotten and last time we did get a pretty definite we're no longer friends from Dan.
Yeah, Dan, that was a very, very stern
Yes.
goodbye, Faye.
That was yeah, I don't think it's don't press the issue, Faye.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, Faye is going to lead a border assault along the border with Kislev to make it look like Kislev is invading. That will draw Solaris out of the Ave capital to allow Bart time to infiltrate and start a revolution from inside the city, recapture it while they're busy. And while they're at it, they're also going to implicate Nissan and Neutral Nation in this to make it look like they're also invading, which is good strategy, but it just reeks of Seitan being all over this planet.
Right.
Because there's no way that's ever going to come back.
Something we didn't mention, Sigurd and Seitan know each other.
Oh, yes.
We didn't
Sigurd
mention that.
And Seitan absolutely recognize and know each other.
That's all we know at this point.
Don't look into it.
It's not a big deal.
We'll get to that, Faye. Faye, it's most important that you do exactly what everyone else wants you to do. Anyway, let's see. Okay, so last time we talked about the how Bart's attempt to recapture Ave goes. He gets surrounded by a bunch of guys with guns in the middle of a courtyard while Shaken booms out laughter. I got you surrounded. But then his butler shows up in a land crab, the land crab that Seitan was working on. And he manages to get Bart out while flipping double bird, presumably. But what was happening...
Bart seems like a double bird guy.
Yeah. What was happening with Faye while this plan was falling to shit? His part of the plan was actually going fairly well. I mean, Faye, he's the main character. He's got the protagonist armor. The Gebler send Ellie along with
And
her,
Gebler is the military of Solaris. We should clarify that. Yeah.
Gebler, the Gebler Goobers of Solaris. They're
Is
like,
that what they're called?
No. That's what, I don't know. There's some kind of elite unit of fighters under Ellie, and they're kind of like the Voltron guys.
Yeah.
They've got the color like, hey, you son of a bitch. Why are we like, I would have to get this chicken shit outfit. And let's see. Well, they intercept Faye while he's off leading his assault, and Faye kicks the shit out of him without too much issue. Then he runs into Ellie, and there's this drama like, oh, it's you from the forest.
In Gears.
In Gears.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got Verge or whatever.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Virgin gear.
It's pink.
Pink gear.
Yeah.
Doesn't have breasts. Let's just give them that.
Let's give them that.
It's pink.
Well done. It's pink, but it does not have breasts
pink
for no reason.
And pink is the pre-World War II color for masculinity, so well done. Yes, Ellie is perfectly capable of flying a very masculine gear.
Yes.
In fact, another masculine activity, taking drugs designed to increase blood rage. She does not particularly like this. In fact, she has a flashback to a hallway with a bunch of people around her, and they're pushing drugs on her really hard. Like, take the goddamn space heroin, Ellie. And she's saying no. Then she has it forced into her, and she just loses control, and the hallway is now drenched in blood.
Yes.
And somebody off screen is saying, that was good.
It looks like the Metal Gear Solid Ninja Cyborg hallway.
Oh, yeah.
It really does.
Pretty much, yeah. Anyway, Ellie gets pushed to the brink. She has a duty to fulfill. So if she can't fight Faye sober, she can certainly fight him drunk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and turns out...
Very Midwestern.
Yeah, there you go. And so she can use this thing called air odds. A magical skill. Don't look too much into it. But the Gebler Goobers do comment on it. Like, hey, I didn't respect the woman put in charge of me. I didn't think she had it. I thought it was affirmative action, man, but she can use air odds. I can't use air odds. And apparently, these combat drugs, they only make you crazy in a way you were always crazy. You can't just fake air odds, man.
Right. It's either in you or it ain't, baby. You know what I'm saying?
So, Faye does, and now we've all, most of us in the Midwest, there's a lot of drugs. A lot of jobs, a lot of drugs. A lot of air pollution. There's a lot of things.
Groundwater.
We have so much to offer.
Groundwater pollution.
This is the Tourism Commission signing off. Anyway, when you have someone like this, you just need to get them away from the enablers for a little bit and let them sober up and realize that this is not what they want. So Faye tackles Ellie's gear, and it's like a giant Gundam intervention. Like, snap out of it, wake up, and she does in fact come to. And he says, Ellie, I've got some friends I need to help. I'm supposed to be doing something right now, not involved with you. You should just leave the military. It's a bad environment. Look, you're going to wind up marrying some intelligence officer in the Air Force, and he is going to use every ounce of research skill he got as a civilian in college to convince you that you got HPV from a toilet seat or the Red Cross. This is not the case, Ellie.
This is not the...
And when he makes major, he's going to demand you crank out 6 children and convert to fundamentalist Christianity. Then when you hit your late 30s, 40s, one of you is going to start jokingly bring up the topic of swingers parties, and one of you is not going to get the joke.
So Ellie...
Ellie, this is not the life you need.
You're a German Catholic girl. You need
Ellie,
to be amongst
get
German
out of the
Catholics.
military. do your term, get your GI Bill, and go. And then he leaves. We don't know exactly what Ellie presumably just goes right back to her enablers because this is not Lifetime. You don't just have this moment and it's fixed.
Right. Yeah. This is Xenogears, which is the most lifelike story ever told.
Yes. So while Bart has completely fucked up, Faye is now leading the border assault, implicating a neutral nation, and he has some sand pirates with him, one of Bart's crew, and they're like, okay, so this guy's Vanderkrom. Citan tells us he is one of the old school. He got his military start before gears became widespread on the land. That means he's still reliant on big-ass guns, big
artillery,
air battleships.
Yeah.
And we're going to use that to our advantage because gears are very mobile. And while Faye's subordinates, because you just appoint this random guy you found to a general, like
who's canonically 18 years old, by the way.
Han Solo walks in, well, look at you, a general, huh? Someone must have told him about that little maneuver against that battle against the T-Rex in the forest. Kung Fu fighting a T-Rex, make him a general. Why not? Anyway, Faye's strategy is to just charge straight at the laser, which admittedly works. He manages to get onto the battleship and beat the shit out of its capital gun. Vanderkrom doesn't know how to respond. You're supposed to
give up.
I have a big gun. Whatever happens, we have got the Maxim gun, and they have not.
Vanderkrom, we should think of something, give up.
What are these Zulus thinking using innovative tactics and superior and massed infantry? They're supposed to line up and die like the savages they are. These are lambs. We know they're inferior.
Lambs.
I have big gun. I should win. Anyway.
He's got the BFG, man.
He does.
You're in Doom and you got the
does.
BFG. The game's over, bro.
I don't understand how it's rigged, man.
It's rigged.
Faye beats the shit out of the gun, and Vanderkrom gets really angry, and he finally admits that maybe we should dump coal and adopt innovative energy solutions.
By the way, I want a running tab of how many times Don takes a video game narrative and turns it into the coal.
Look, I'm not afraid of brownouts. They're annoying when you're working.
That's
if coal can't keep the lights on, maybe something else can.
No, I was thinking this is why we're never going to
yeah.
do Final Fantasy VII because Don hates things to be that on the nose.
It's true. I'm more of a Adam's apple man, like throat punch. Anyway, Vanderkrom finally does. You know, he like, okay, maybe this gear thing has something going for it. So he attacks Faye in a scorpion tank or something. It's some kind of weird arachnid.
Isn't the scorpion tank from Halo? Isn't that what it's called?
Scorpion. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and also from Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer for the nod. I think 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, immediately now, throughout the game, this guy called Groff, which we mentioned last episode, he's going to show up and start talking about power, especially when somebody's fighting Faye. He's going to like sit on the sidelines, like, yeah, you're not fighting Faye correctly. You need to. Faye needs a stronger iron to sharpen himself against. I'm going to pump you up, mister.
We are going to pump you up.
Now, usually this is a method to give someone a second phase of a boss fight. Like, okay, they're fucking up.
Yes.
Vanderkrom doesn't get this. Groff has no... He has no real expectations of this man.
Right.
So as soon as Vanderkrom insists that he's ready to fight Faye, Groff shows up. Doth thou desire the power?
I like that Groff is now a 40k orc.
Do you desire the power? You need more DACA. DACA. Anyway, we don't actually see what happens to this. Vanderkrom does get Faye in his clutches, and then the screen fades out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Ramses, that one cool guy from Solaris.
Cool as a cucumber.
Yeah, he's cool. He's got Miang. He's in bed with her at some point. She's naked.
Oh yeah, because her
guys,
her sprite in the portrait.
I'm
actually
11.
is.
Yeah, I'm 11 years old, but I think I think I understand. There's something going on.
I do remember
They were kissing.
I do remember being like 12 playing
With no
Xenogears in my
clothes
bedroom,
on.
and like there's the scene of like him waking up and talking to Miang, and I'm like, is that door closed? Is that door closed?
Yeah, imagine what kids today must be going through.
Oh, I know. Oh, and The Witcher, there's just flat boobs everywhere, just flat out boobs.
I don't know if I don't know if I developed better or worse for this, but Miang, yeah, that was just sex. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Oh yeah, very clear that they had just.
There were
butts. Hey, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, dog?
Now, Miang does have purple hair, and she has her own agenda as well.
Clearly.
That's very clear. Anyway, Ramses, he's actually feeling pretty good about himself. He's raised him he's one of those guys. He's where he is because he worked hard. And now we're going to see
Bootstraps.
We're going to see him in a moment of competency where he leads an attack on Bart's sand cruiser. Turns out, if you attack a superior military force in retreat, they will
give
probably chase you.
They
they think they're safe. Then Ramses lands a torpedo straight into the Yggdrasil, and it's starting to sink into the sand, which is bad.
The sand is apparently very loose.
It's
in this world.
very loose.
Very
loose. And quicksand. You need like special sand rovers to drive it usually.
Right.
And Ramses calls out to Sigurd. He asks Sigurd to surrender because of their old friendship. And Sigurd has a flashback moment. Ah, yes, Ramses. I once followed him because I believed in his ideals. Then I stopped. Then I left.
Now, does Satan remember Ramses? I can't remember. Okay.
I think so. They both do. We were both with him for a while. He wanted to turn Solaris into the ideal nation. We believed in his ideals, and then we kind of realized, look, you can only do so much with Solaris.
Right.
Like, Ramses is that kind of guy who wants universal health care. He wants to eliminate racism. He wants to tax the rich. He wants to, he just wants to make America great. And then he supports an institution that stands for the opposite of all that. But what if this guy becomes in charge of everything, and everything else in that institution is forced to bow down to him? Well, that sounds great. Don't see that happening. Yeah, well, it's Ramses. Look at him. He's, I don't really like this idea of allying with land dwellers. I'm just gonna say it. We should build a wall. Let's say a dimensional gate, and we're gonna make Shevat pay for it.
More on that later.
Anyway, around this point, I realized I was a suburban, educated male, and I really didn't belong with them anymore. Electoral maps are shifting, Faye. Anyway,
the Yggdrasil sinking.
Anyway, this whole thing's going on. We're sinking. Like the guy on the comm is like, "Hey, that's nice. That's some nice foreshadowology over there." Sighton,
but we're gonna fucking die.
We're
dude.
sinking right now. We got okay. While you guys were yammering, flapping your jaws and all that, we had damage control. Unfortunately, we really need somebody to go off there and hold them off a little bit longer, so we have time to escape. Bart is in the Brigadier, rather, and he is piloting the ship using a giant ship wheel.
Oh yeah,
And Ramses has come out in his gear, his beautiful golden gear.
Love his gear. His gear's sick.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And he is demanding, once again, that they surrender. And Bart refuses. So he's about to deliver the coup de grace. When suddenly, red gear appears. And Ramses recognizes it as the demon of Elru.
I forgot that Ramses recognized it. Yeah.
Immediately recognizes it.
Yeah.
And mea culpa on my part. In the first part, I mixed up which continent is which. Elru is a continent that used to exist. Ignis still exists for the moment.
Yes. For the moment. It's working hard on going away, but it's still there.
Yeah, and Miang laughs because she's remembering a Friends episode or something. Certainly nothing to read into there, Miang. Anyway, first words out of Red Gear is to ask Bart if he is strong. And Bart is kind of like fumbling because he's trapped between a rock and a hard place right now. And and while Bart is like stammering, Ramses is like, "Hey, you want strong? I'm right here, bro. I'm right here.
Hey, man.
Hey,
hey, man.
got something to say?" He goes to play the hero in his beautiful golden gear. His arm and leg immediately get ripped off
by this red gear,
effortlessly. And then he gets just pushed around like a bullied kid.
Right.
And Miang says, "Look, he's going to go after Bart and the Sand Pirates that we came to kill anyway. Let's just leave and let him have it out." And Ramses is very against running away from this gear. He says, and I quote, "I still have one arm." But Miang does get into his thick skull that you should retreat. And presumably Ramesses goes back to Solaris, and when he explains what happened in the field, well, I wanted to come back.
I wanted to whoop his ass.
The thing is, I left my arm and my leg lodged firmly in his ass. I thought it would be sporting to let him get those out before we had a rematch, if you know what I mean. Anyway, after a very brief fight between Bart and the Red Gear, the crew of the Yggdrasil do something cool. Sigurd is at the helm, and he realizes that Red Gear is not a winnable fight. It's one of those RPG unwinnable fights. So he ramps the Yggdrasil off a sand dune onto the Red Gear, and it looks like, okay, that's some innovative thinking, and it looks like it paid off. And Bart is angry that his ship might have been damaged in this little belly hop. Then the Red Gear lifts it up one-handed, like he's thumbing up, like he's fingering a basketball, just spinning it around, and he says, and I quote again because it's amazing, "That was cheating. Take it back."
I forgot about that.
Citan, Sigurd, and the crew immediately realize that they're in a non-winnable situation, so they enter the bridge and like turn it into an escape pod. They just escape. Well, Citan doesn't. He heroically takes his gear and runs in the other direction.
He bravely ran away.
Yes. And then the Red Gear throws it on Bart.
Because he has to take it back.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we don't really know what happened to Faye during all this. Well, here's my notes for here. Welcome to Kislev, bitches.
Oh, yeah, Kislev.
Yeah. The Kaiser of Kislev. This is a cutscene. Kaiser of Kislev. It's a kind of a fantasy Moscow, but it's also kind of German, steampunky.
Yeah.
And he is hanging out in a room that is primarily filled with pipe organs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's holding a military council. One of his generals says, "Hey, the archenemy's fleet just exploded along the border, and a bunch of other shit's happening all over Ave lately. This might be a good time to, invade them. Also, we found that one gear, that weird gear from the beginning that got stolen from us, and we captured its pilot." The Kaiser looks up and says, so the young prince is at it again. So he apparently knows about Bart. And he also recognizes, quote-unquote, them as Gebler supporting units. He knows Ave is getting outside help. The generals ask the Kaiser to attack Ave, and he says, "Fuck no, idiots. Solaris is still out there, and we don't have a counter to them. They're probably, if they think we attacked, they're probably going to try to retaliate, so let's shepherd our resources and see what happens." Oh, and speaking of them, Kaiser is also getting help from someone. A balloon battleship, and there is a masked woman giving him fancy new gear and tech. And he says, "Hey, where's Groff? He was here last time." And she says, "Hey, I don't know." Also, and then he asks, "Okay, so masked woman, mysterious masked woman with advanced tech, why are you helping us against Ave when there is another mysterious organization helping Ave against us?"
So he seems to have some sort of...
He understands that something weird's going on, but he also can't afford to turn it down.
Yeah, he has some wherewithal, but he's not in a position to investigate it. Yeah.
And then she says, "I like to watch."
Is that her actual quote?
Yeah, like
I love it.
Basically,
I love it.
she likes to observe what's going on. She likes to watch the ants fight.
Yeah.
And, well, Kaiser has to take that because he can't turn down her help.
Right.
Meanwhile, she does have one condition of her continued support. That one experimental gear that they just finally got back. Weltall. And that guy that they just captured, who is obviously Faye, they are to be transferred to D Block, which is a battling class, a gladiator class.
Yes.
He is going to be transferred there with that gear. The military can't get their mitts on it. He has to stay by it. And he asks her why, and she says, "You don't need to know."
This is one of my favorite parts of the game we're getting to, by the way.
Yeah.
I love this whole sequence. I love it.
So Faye is finally back in back on the screen, and he is watching himself as a child, watching a television of himself, watching his memories. And another version of himself walks in and tells him to leave. And he does. He wakes up in a hospital, and he is formally welcomed to the WWE.
I love it. I love this whole part of the game.
Blanca, a.k.a. Rico Banderas, is the champion of this part of town.
He looks exactly like
He
Blanca,
is
by the way, with more clothes on.
Green, orange hair,
Yeah.
buff, cool. And he says you have to be strong. So if you want to run with the big dogs, you have to have a boss gauntlet of all my friends, and you kick the shit out of all of them. And then he comes up and says, "Okay, show me what you got." And he forces you into a...
Oh, Saiton's here, by the way. We should mention that.
Yes.
Saiton's here.
I forgot.
Mhm.
Let's see. Oh, wait. I think that comes up immediately after this because
And the rat guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rico pushes you, forces you to your limit. You unleash a psychic backlash that you can't seem to control. Rico thinks that's cool as shit. Then he punches you in the dick, and you go down. Then you wake up in the hospital again. And Faye laments that he's forced to fight everywhere he goes. Also, you have a bomb collar, so you can't run away. And there's a rat man drug dealer who is helping you keep you outfitted. He's willing to sell you gear parts and shit like that.
And he calls you bro, and he says yo a
he's
lot.
bro. He's a little rat man, little rat dude with glasses. His name is Hammer, and he's your bro. That's
He's
what
your
you need
bro.
to know.
Yep.
And hey, by the way, there's a new doctor in town, and it's Saiton because of course it is.
And that's literally the explanation the game gives you. Is because Faye's even like, "Doc, what are you doing here?" And he's like,
I got the med degree, and I've been piloting shit. For
"This
a
guy
long
would have been
time."
a great mafioso, tightest lips in the business.
Yeah.
Like he ain't telling you nothing."
Yeah, I don't know. And doctors work in mysterious ways. Faye. Anyway, Saiton says, by the way, this Kislev, they have a real big fixation on battle data. And that's why you're here in Gladiator. You're going to fight in your gear against other gears, and they're going to see how the gears, match up.
Yeah.
How different pilots sync with their gears. Saiton also berates you for having a bomb collar attached to your neck because it's keeping you from the main plot line. And so he tries to remove the bomb collar, but then halfway through it, immediately after taking off the safety device that keeps it from exploding for no reason, he says, "Ugh, this is a little above my pay grade. I'm only a doctor. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop trying to disarm this bomb. Can you put the safety device back in? I don't know that. I don't know. In fact, I'm gonna sell the safety device to Hammer." And he gets some sandwich money out of that. And then Faye...
By the way, selling to Hammer implies that someone knows how to put it back on, which is why it has value.
So now Faye not only has a bomb collar, he has an unsafe bomb collar.
Oh, I hate those.
Ugh.
I hate those the worst kind.
Yeah, I mean, you go to Goodwill for a tux because you have a job interview, and a tuxedo would be funny. It would be memorable.
Yes.
And honestly, it's the only thing they have. Everything that didn't come off a corpse. They also have unsafe bomb collars. Don't take those to job interviews.
Right.
That's what you do for your first day on the job.
Yeah.
Saiton also fills Faye in on how all of his friends may or may not be dead because he didn't check. Everything's coming up Faye right now. And he also said that while Faye was unconscious, a lot of people died. But it was probably not him. Yeah, you know that one Vanderkrom guy? Well, I only found corpses where he was. Yeah, it couldn't have been you. It might not have been you. I don't know. Faye accepts, however. Faye is. I love Faye because while he's a little bit listless right now, he's not stupid. He says he did it. He did it again, quote unquote. It. He lost time. People died, and he woke up somewhere else. And he cares more about helping his friends, so he wants to get out of Kislev and get back to the main plot line.
Right.
Meanwhile, we are introduced, not introduced, the Gazelle Ministry will pop up throughout the game.
Yes.
They are talking heads, literally. They just get on Fox News and
literally
talk
Sealy from Ava.
Okay.
It's literally
It's that. It's that thing from that show. That.
Yes. Shades of Ava all over this game.
Yeah.
All over it.
Even I picked up on that, and I've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's that on the head, actually.
Yeah. I sense a great tremor in the force. Someone's quoting Evangelion. Anyway, the Gazelle Ministry are just chittering. They're like, it's like holding a conversation, only you use one pronoun, one proper noun, and then an ellipsis.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bo, them Packers, football, Super Bowl, upcoming.
The Packers lost to the 49ers. The 49ers are going.
Loss. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Reprimands.
Oh, it was an unacceptable loss. I'm sure there's a lot of movement in the Packers front office.
Whoa,
It's a
somebody
bad
who's
game.
not the Gazelle Ministry is talking right now.
I'm sorry. Get back to it. I'm sorry.
Well, sometimes that happens. Sometimes Emperor Kane shows. Well, sometimes Emperor Kane will show up, and then we'll talk in
Right.
complete sentences like, okay, this guy. Or Krellian. Who the hell's Krellian?
This fucking guy.
This fucking guy, he's using predicates, man. And he's got commas, grammar. We don't need that shit here in Gazelle Ministry. MC Gazelle.
We see Satan directly addressing them at times, too, don't we?
He talks to Kane.
That's right. He speaks with Emperor Kane.
Gazelle Ministry say they're keeping tabs on where Faye is. And they reference a terrible incident 500 years ago that he caused, or he did something. And
500 years ago.
500 years ago. They hate him for it. How much do they hate him? Well, they order reserve units to destroy Kislev's nuclear reactor to kill Faye.
So they're going to destroy an entire nation to kill Faye.
This nation that they're allowing to exist for some reason. Well, Faye's there.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Cannot risk him escaping terrorists.
Also, interestingly enough, they haven't just been recently aware of Faye. They've known about him the whole time,
they've
correct?
been watching, but
So he was fine in Lahan. He's not fine in Kislev.
there's something going on here.
Something's going on.
Anyway, you now have access to the map. I've got my notes.
I love it. I love it.
Anyway, yeah. On the map, you can clearly see a giant red ship in the capital of Kislev, which is being repurposed as an administrative center.
Kind of a UFO looking thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
It's obviously a ship, and it will become very relevant in a few hours, years of gameplay. In a few hours plus a few years.
Yeah.
Faye decides that while fighting is bad, he's prepared to fight for a pardon so he can get that goddamn unsafe bomb off his neck. Because if you become the champion, you can ask for a pardon.
Interesting enough,
Rico,
yeah.
who never accepts a pardon or asks for one. He just likes fighting, presumably.
Yes.
And he also, again, questions, why would they let me, a battle slave who just arrived, have the world's most terrifying experimental gear? Satan says, hey, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, man. They want data.
Tight lip, buddy. Tight lip.
During the first round in this little battling ring, this tourney, which is multiplayer.
Love it. It's multiplayer. This is where I spent most of the hour. Yeah, this is where I spent most of the hours of my game.
Weltall explodes because someone tinkered with it. And Faye is once again rendered unconscious. This is rarely a good thing.
Rarely.
Meanwhile, some unseen guy with predator vision, red eyes, is running through the sewers, killing Rico's battlers. Like you see, like one guy turn around, he does that Resident Evil 2, like, oh, what the hell is this thing, dude? And turns out this is just a dream that Faye was having. And Satan says, oh, that's normal. I dream of this all the time, man. Don't look into it. Just don't push yourself. Faye battles his way to rank A. which means he's in the running for the championship. Rico shows him like, hey, full disclosure, my buddies might have been responsible for blowing up your gear. You beat him up. It made him look bad in front of me. You know how it is.
Yeah.
They're no longer affiliates. In fact, they're no longer among the living. Someone's been killing them. And I'm not saying anything, but they tried to kill you, and they're all dead. Doesn't look good.
Right.
But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because, I want to go into the sewers, check on this. And now why were all of my affiliates in the sewers? I don't know. Don't ask, don't tell, man.
It's a city prison. It's kind of like Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Actually.
You have free reign of this particular block.
It's just you will die if you leave it because you're bomb caller.
So Rico is investigating rumors of a sewer monster, and he invites Faye along to clear his name. Because if you kill the monster, obviously that means it wasn't you.
Right. It's how our justice system works to this day.
Yes. That is why. That's why you don't have to bake a cake for gays. Because there's a sewer monster.
Right. That's true. That's true.
A sewer monster.
It's true.
I mean, I shut up. You remember how? I was outraged. Then they said sewer monster. Okay.
I mean, what are you gonna say?
What are you gonna say?
What are you gonna say?
Fox News, like, this is outrageous. Sewer monster killed. Fuck me.
Well,
they got the sewer monster.
Well, you know what? Order me a crow sandwich, friend.
Yep, chowing down. Anyway, you go to the sewer, and there's a vast, perfect ecosystem of street sharks, bugs, and mutants living in perfect harmony, and you're gonna punch the shit out of all of them. And one of the victims seems to have written something about a red monster.
I remember that. Yeah.
In perfect cursive. Faye is a millennial, so he can't read it.
Right.
Which is a terrible joke, really, because it's actually Zoomers who never learn cursive.
It's
We
Zoomers.
totally learn cursive.
We
We never use it.
we never use it because it's fucking worthless. But
Like, you know that old joke about allow me to tell a Facebook joke you might see on a boomer's wall. There is a millennial studying climate change in a float plane, and he sees an SOS written in perfect cursive by a shipwrecked boomer. He looks over and he scries. He sees this weird script, this strange script. He says, "Sauce? I don't want any sauce." And he keeps flying, and the boomer dies.
by the way, the airship was a standard, so he couldn't drive it. He had to have someone else drive it.
Oh, it has to be. Can you drive? Only if it's stick. Anyway, back to the sewers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know how this game has got a really good pacing, and then you're stuck in a sewer for a while.
Right.
No, that's a boomer joke. Makes no sense. Waste your time. It's a pizza cutter. It's all edge, and there's no point. Sorry. Coming from a dark place tonight, guys. I'm sorry. You meet there's this old mutant. You know he's a mutant because he's green.
Right.
And it's not easy being green. Sorry. I'm doing my best to make you die. Anyway, he says the mutants don't bother him. So he's been fine. But, there's a new neighbor in town.
The red monster.
Now, okay, there's a lot of weird translation for this, but this is actually kind of interesting. He says mutants don't attack him, so there's no problem. Mm-hmm. And there's always been mutants in the sewers. That's how sewers work.
Right.
I mean, you put in a new lateral line, you have to fight street sharks. Why do you think it's so expensive? It's not because you relocated to the middle of nowhere, Indiana. They're street sharks. They have to be punched. Anyway, you do finally find out where these people have been dying. You find Redrum, and you kick the shit out of him, but he's actually a pretty cool monster. And
He is.
you find a bell on him. And Sight and remotes, this thing had a human intellect, and he feels pity. Rico was also wounded in the fight, but he says it's okay, I'm still going to fight you. So Sighton goes to the exposition zone, which is a dimension apart from our own, where he speaks with the Emperor.
Emperor Kane.
And says he has awoken 3 times now. We don't know what he's talking about. But he corrects himself. 2. No, make that 3. I have reason to believe there was a third awakening. Emperor Cain says, well, Satan, you should know the military is taking direct action. And Satan says, oh, that's a little bit hasty. I mean, destroying Kislev. And the Emperor is like, yeah, but I kind of agree. I'm willing to defer to your judgment, but, these things have a momentum all their own. I can't call them off. You should probably get out.
One thing real quick before we go too far. It's very fascinating, the bell and Satan commenting on how it had a human intellect and he feels pity for it. That's very interesting on several different levels, one of which is being revealed to us currently as to why he would feel pity for this creature that died. So
yes.
I just wanted to make mention of that before we went further.
Thank you. Do that more often.
I actually, it's a little bit of a fight. No,
I'm sorry. Who has the notes?
Who did the research? Weber.
Well, there's clearly I need to bookmark that little note. Okay, it's very we'll come back to Satan having pity and a human soul because up until now it's been very dubious.
Well, there's just several reasons why that's going to be.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry. Okay, so what happens next? Because it's not Faye, of course. This game's jumping around all over the place.
Yes.
Like a cracked out bunny rabbit. Okay, Ellie. Ellie and the Gebler Goobers have gotten the assignment to destroy Kislev. And let's see. Their job is to, quote unquote, bomb the fuck out of Kislev before setting off the reactor. The Goobers are okay with this. Like, hey, that's the job, man.
That's what I signed up for,
baby. That's the job. These are terrorists.
Yep.
These are terrorists. They're like, there's this one guy down here. He clocks in, does his 8 hours, goes home, sleeps 8 hours, plays the Nintendo Switch for 8 hours. That's terrorism.
Hey, a common joke amongst the Gablers. Hey, man, you know what my gear feels when I shoot down a Kislev soldier? Recoil, baby.
Black guns matter. Land gun. I can't think of any good racism against lambs. Lamb chops.
Lamb chops. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah. Oh, that's foreshadowing.
That
was accidental foreshadowing. Satan's rubbing off on us.
We could have had a podcast.
We could have.
Aside from Donoram of just a Xenogears series.
Yeah. Anyway, notably, Ellie is. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud. She says,
she's my favorite character.
We shouldn't be doing. Maybe this isn't the look. I admit this is the patriotic thing to do. I stand for the flag. Maybe
and I kneel for the cross.
Maybe nuking Kislev is maybe bad. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm just saying, maybe we shouldn't celebrate it. I'm not saying
think about it.
Maybe we shouldn't be sharing Facebook memes of nuke their ass, take their gears.
Right.
That doesn't rhyme. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at memeing, guys. Well, I don't know why you're in charge then. Anyway, the Goobers make a very salient point. Ellie, if we do not commit genocide, they're going to make us third-class citizens. Look, if we do not build the wall, someone else will, and then we'll be on the other side of it. Look, if we Italians do not mess with the Mexicans, we're going to be building the wall and then ship back to Italy. I don't speak Italian.
West Side Story.
Yeah. So, notable point, very important point. As soon as you get out of the sewers, you go to the bathroom for a shower, obviously. Faye finds out shower's currently broken. End of scene.
Remember, all things in this story have a narrative purpose.
Yeah.
What does the broken shower mean?
It means you're covered in shit. You can't do anything about it.
Gross.
Yeah.
Very gross.
And
he's got to sit in a gear.
Oh. That's not good. That's not good at all.
So anyway, back to Ellie and the genocide.
Yeah.
The preeminent genocide. The imminent genocide.
She goes along with it. She has no one to... It's one of those things where, you do the research on climate change in your own time, then you start hanging out with your Republican friends. Like, hey, I don't know. Maybe on the one hand, recorded history, academic literature. On the other hand, Facebook.
Facebook, yep.
Yeah, Facebook's my life. I can ignore academic publications.
You can put it
face to Facebook. Anyway, Rico says, hey, murder's stopped. Guess that was it. Good job, Faye. By the way, I'll see you in the tournament. And then the wise man shows up. And he confronts Faye, talks about how he needs to do something to fight Rico, which you actually don't need to do. He basically it's just like, against a strong opponent, you should conserve your energy for a decisive strike. That didn't work for Japan in World War II. Just gonna say that, wise man. Just gonna say that. By the way, let's see. Sorry, shuffle the papers around. Oh, he also confesses that Wise Man was the one to drop Faye off at Lahan 3 years ago. He says he was he was Faye's dad's friend, working for a certain country. And when he keeps dropping these proper nouns and Faye just kind of has his eyes glaze over, he finally realizes, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? So you just meandering around the world doing nothing. That's not you being obtuse and an asshole. You just don't know. Oh, okay, that explains a lot, actually. Okay, so your dad's name is Khan Wong. Your mother's name was Karen, and she's dead. Khan told me to keep you safe from Groff, who seeks to use your power. Something happened between you, Groff, and your dad. Your dad is busy chasing Groff. I brought you to Lahan. Your dad served with a country called Shavat. So check in on that. He leaves, and Seitan gives the most impressive quote of the game for this part. What a mysterious person.
What a fucking asshole. So I just comes in, my word, what a mysterious person. Faye, do you believe what he said?
Hey, my gas tank's empty. There's a hose and a bunch of gas tanks in your pickup. What a mysterious happenstance. Anyway, Faye beats Rico in the tournament, and he gets his freedom. Okay, everything's coming up Faye. Ellie meets with Dominia, new character with portrait. She is of the Elements.
The Super Sentai team.
Yep, and the Elements have their own mission. Dominia is piloting the ship that is going to decisively nuke Kislev. This is when Ellie realizes that she's not just committing the bombing of Dresden here.
Right.
There is not she's not just ending life, she's ending possibility of life for 1,000 years in this general area.
Right.
And Dominia pulls a textbook Crowder. I was a surface dweller myself, young lady. I'm not racist.
I'm not Crowder.
Steven Crowder.
Steven, I've heard the name before because I was like Steven Crowder.
Okay, well, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. I have a black friend. Hey, my wife is black. I'm not racist.
Change.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Change my mind. Oh, that guy.
So
okay.
Dominia is all aboard the genocide train, and Ellie says, "Isn't this a little wrong? I was a surface dweller, hey miss. I was a surface dweller. If anyone's racist, it's you. Let's go kill them all." And she tells Ellie that she's proud to be a Solarian.
Where at least I know I'm free.
Speaking of free, Faye is free now. But he can't make it across the border because someone built a wall. What are you going to do?
Is there a wall in the game?
Technically, there's a military fortification.
Okay.
So this is a wall with a purpose. You know, it's not static defenses, which will always fail. Big Joe is here. You'll meet him everywhere.
I know. I love it.
He's the coolest.
Love it. Yeah.
And he is hanging out by an alleyway, and he says, "Faye, give me 5,000 G, and I'll tell you something cool." You give him 5,000 G, and he runs off.
I know. I love it. You don't get it back either. It's gone.
Nope.
And it's not like in Pokemon where you spend the 500 Pokebucks at the Mount Moon Poke Center and you get the Magikarp, and you're like, oh, I just got the shittiest Pokemon in the game, but then you keep leveling it and it turns into a Gyarados. No, there's no payoff.
Nope.
No payoff in Xenogears.
So,
God, Joe's so cool.
Faye goes to meet the Kaiser and see if he can get this whole situation, get his visa sorted out.
Yeah.
And Rico shows up, and he gets arrested for being a mutant outside of D-Block. There are no saints in this universe.
That is the mysterious reason why Rico never accepts his pardon.
I mean,
because he's just going right back if he does.
As the champ, he's the champ. Outside of D-Block, he's just another day laborer.
Yep.
But he gets away from the police, and he finds his way into the Kaiser's dead wife's room, and a smell reminds him of his childhood. And there's not a whole lot of things to be there's not a whole lot of lines to read between here. He's the Kaiser's son.
Right. That is like an obvious. That's about as on the nose as this game's gonna get.
Yeah.
Really.
Because they never actually say it, but it's obvious.
No, they never say it the whole game, but it's so heavily implied.
And Faye asks why Rico broke into the Central District. The Kaiser shows up, asks the same thing, and he points out that the DNA scanners at that room should make it impossible for non-family to enter. But then but rather than confront this, rather than look at the ice caps melting, he just files it away and goes back to Facebook, finds a meme, laughs, and is content with the world. He has no demi-human children. He is a human. He's the goddamn Kaiser.
Right. How could he have a demi-human?
How can his genes be flawed? Have you seen his IQ? I haven't. It's a mystery box.
And you'll agree with me that I can't have any demi-human children.
Yes. Faye and Citan have some wacky adventures in Kislev, side quests and all that. Anyway, Rico has been sentenced to fight dinosaurs without a gear until death. It's inventive.
It's a hell of a way to go out, too.
Anyway, have you ever seen Rome? The miniseries?
HBO series?
Yeah.
Fantastic, yes. I have.
Do you remember the scene where Titus Pullo is in the ring fighting against the giant? And he finally goes down. Faye jumps into the ring and Weltall says, 13! 13! 13th Legion! And they fight the dinosaurs together. And right as the dinosaur falls, there's no time for the Kaiser to punish you for it because suddenly that whole purge thing is kicking off.
Right.
There's searchlights, AA guns booming. Faye says, well, that's not good. Citan realizes that apart from the small-time war crimes of napalm on residential districts, there's also a ship that's heading straight for the reactor.
Right.
And Faye decides that, okay, we need to just use our gears to push this thing away from the city. And he goes up, fights the Gebler Goobers under Ellie. And Rico shows up and steer his gear to help. Citan, meanwhile, has decided he can't be helping in his gear, which he has. Because somebody needs to tell the citizens, fire back! And tell them to run towards the not fire. Because he has a medical degree. Faye and Ellie meet up once again, and Ellie says that not being a Nazi is very hard for her. You don't understand how hard this is for me, millennial. This is how I was brought up. I drank from a garden hose. I ate lamb chops.
And I had to be home before the streetlights were on.
I turned out just fine as the city burns around me. As the world burns, I am fine. God damn it, Ellie. Faye says, and she's like, "Look, this isn't personal. I don't hate the lambs. They just need to die. I mean, this is just. I mean, I'm like,
can't blame a dog for barking, baby.
Look, I don't have anything against these people. I mean, I just don't think they should be here on their own country, in their own homes,
sovereign land
on this earth. I think they should be, consigned to the dustbin of history, quite literally." Faye says that, Ellie, you could just not do that. And Ellie, hey, not all of us got to go to your fancy college. I hung out with sand pirates for most of this game, Ellie. You have friends. I only have Nazis as my support system. My friends are probably dead. And you don't see me nuking people for it.
This, by the way, isn't like, this isn't like 100% of the joke. It's almost this like of a, it's a very strange back and forth between them.
Yeah.
It's very well written because it's literally just this sort of Faye back down. Nope, friends are dead. So,
but you don't see. I'm still just doing my best here.
Yeah.
Looked at he's actually being the bigger person here. Like, look, Ellie, I know this is hard for you. It's hard for me too. But you don't see me doing this shit. Like, in fact, he bear hugs Ellie's gear to constrain her, keep her from fighting, and says, "Just come with me. I can show you the world. And thanks to you, the world kind of sucks. Look at this. There's a vista overlooking destruction, and he almost slaps Ellie, but he holds back. And Ellie
They're
says,
out of their gears at this point.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. I
they're
remember.
they're hanging out,
Yeah.
like their gears are just sitting there.
Yeah.
They're parked over, like they're on lookout.
You know that scene in movies that take place in Los Angeles where they just have this perfect vantage point of the entirety of Los Angeles? It's that.
And there's 500 drug dealers, cops, FBI agents having dramatic conversations next to each other.
Right.
And there's one teenage couple about to be murdered while having a makeout session.
Yeah.
And no one is aware of the others, but they're all there.
Yeah.
Anyway, Faye is just saying, look, I'm going to go to that ship. I'm going to stop them. I'm going to prove to you there's a better way than genocide for no fucking reason. And Ellie says, no, Dominion's there. You can't fight Dominion. Fuck hell, I can't. He rejoins Rico, and they fight Dominion, who escapes laughing, like, the ship's going to crash into the city anyway. And like, well, we can...
Not to worry. We're still flying half a ship.
Yeah. So Faye and Rico decide, like, when you get your truck hung up off the side of the road because somebody, tries to pull into a cornfield, turn around. You just try to push the giant ship. Is this thing in neutral, Faye? I don't know. Why don't you get out and check, Rico? Just push harder. Ellie finally realizes, okay, maybe I don't need the Nazi support system. Maybe I can delete Facebook and have a better life. So she shows up and tries to push it herself. Faye and Rico's gears run out of fuel and oomph and fall to the ground. Ellie goes on her own, and she loses power. And when it looks like she's about to be crushed underneath this thing, Faye freaks out, and out of nowhere, a winged gear destroys the ship and then wraps his wings around Ellie to shield her from the blast and disappears. Ellie and Faye reunite, and they decide that, having saved most of Kislev, that's probably grounds for a reconciliation. So Ellie is now formally in the party for now. I mean, that changes.
Right.
Much like Satan is in the party.
Right.
Even though he's currently doing a crosswalk in a safe district. Because he's a hero. Satan decides that the best way to escape Kislev at this point is to steal their classified super bomber, because admittedly this will have the bonus of denying Kislev a way to retaliate against Ave for the attempted genocide of their people.
Right.
And he also learned how to fly a super bomber in med school.
By the way, notice that Solaris is allied with Ave, who's in a war with Kislev, and they have had the ability to just destroy Kislev outright this entire time.
In fact, they give some goodies to Kislev, too, just to keep things fun.
But it's not until Faye's there that they're like, okay, the scales of war are tipping.
Yeah. Anyway, while you're flying out, Kislev's probably not very happy about this, but hey, you got their bomber.
Yeah.
You're flying. You're having a grand old time. Graf shows up, ghost riding his gear. Like, he's not in his gear. He lands on the wing of your ship, on its shoulder, and he's just, ha, 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 power. And, let's see. Yep, he's ghost riding the whip. Rico, Faye, and Ellie go out in their gears. He doesn't get in his gear. He gets on foot and kicks all your asses. And
that's the power, brother.
Sidon realizes they're in trouble, so he does the coolest thing Sidon will ever do in this game. He turns the wing slightly, and Graf says, "What?" and tumbles off the plane. So this actually works. Unfortunately, while Graf is doing that, while Graf is tumbling with his gear, he does that James Bond thing from GoldenEye where he the music kicks in, he works his way to his gear, flies away, gets in your flight path, and then Hammer manages to shoot him with the main cannon, and then he says, "Yo, bro, did you see my mad skills?"
I do remember that, yeah. Oh, it's a direct quote from the game.
Yeah, mad skills. So now it's clear skies and smooth sailing for Faye and company. Oh,
Sailing.
Speaking of sailing, Bart and company are okay. In fact, they found a submarine. And unfortunately, they see the Kislev plane, and they assume it's on a revenge mission, so they shoot it down with a Bart missile.
I love that. Bart is so... God, I love this character. He's such a very me character.
Nothing can stand up to the power of the Bart missile.
He names his weapons after himself. He has an eye patch.
Yep. So this
Just a cool guy.
marks the second time in the game that Bart and Faye have been introduced by Bart ambushing Faye with some pirate hijinks. And to mark another second, this is the second time a giant piece of war machinery has crashed on Bart. Because the plane crashes into the ocean, as well as the submarine. And that's the end of Act 2.
That's it.
All right, that works.
So if you can't wait to hear about some adventures on the sea with probably one of the funniest characters in the game, tune in the week after this.
Yeah, if this guy was on Facebook, I'd put it back on.
And so see, as you can see, we've got plenty of Xenogears left, and this isn't the rest of Xenogears.
This is the tutorial, really.
No, this. So, guys,
again, eventually we're gonna get to the part of the game which is just this: two guys in chairs.
So we're gonna be. It's gonna be real.
Events.
It's gonna be a real Twin Peaks at that point. We're about to get to the Black Lodge. So
yeah, you're in Faye's mind, watching yourself having memories of somebody else having memories, and then somebody else going, "Hey, what are you doing on my YouTube channel? Get off."
So, guys, like and subscribe. That way you know when the video's back on. Share us with your friends, and stop someone from committing genocide today.
Yeah.
All it takes is a hug.
All it takes is a hug.
All it takes is a hug.
Or slap.